building a team is a very important aspect. In fact, I wrote the book on it, Instant Team Building. But there are some mistakes that business people are making out there. And if we can correct even one of these mistakes in your business, if you're making any one of these mistakes, it could be costing you not just time, but money. It could also be costing you people in your organization. So let's go through the top 20 team building mistakes that we see made out there. And if you can correct these, then, well, I'm going to teach you how to correct them. Then you'll get much better results out of your team. Number one biggest team building mistake I see out there in the world: no goals. A lack of goals leads to poor performance. If you want higher performance, you've got to have goals. You've got to get better at things. To get better, you got to set a goal. And at the lack of goals, be they daily goals, weekly goals, monthly, annual goals, the more granular, the smaller the amount of goals you can get. You know, when you sit and look at it, should each team member have goals? In our organizations, we believe each team member should be running to 6 goals each day. Now, it's not perfect. It's not always 6, but around 6 goals per day that they should be aiming for. Now, some companies call them key performance indicators or key activity indicators. I like the word goals. The more goals you have, the more you achieve. It's not complex. And by the way, if they're not written down, they're not actually goals, all right? So write them down, smart test them. Next one, number 2, low or no accountability, okay? You can't have accountability in an organization where there's no measurement. The old saying, you cannot manage what you do not measure, has become an old saying because it's real. If you want results, you got to set goals. And if you want accountability, you've definitely got to measure the results of what we're doing. So where are you measuring is where you get performance. Where you're not measuring is where you don't get performance. If we look at an athlete, a sporting team, what do they measure? Everything. Why? Because they want to get better. You want better results? Keep measuring. Through measuring, you can have accountability in your organization. Mistake number 3. Not enough meetings or too many meetings, okay? Now, let's first of all define what is a meeting. A meeting is a group of people coming together to communicate on a subject, okay? Now, if there is no reason to meet, there's no subject to communicate on, there's nothing to achieve, then there's too many meetings type thing. Now, I've found managers or leaders of companies are either too many meetings people or too few meetings people. I think too few meetings is actually worse than too many meetings because people don't know what they're doing or how they're supposed to be doing it. It's easy to be lazy in team building and sort of think, oh, they've got it, they're doing it, they know what they need to do type thing. That's not the way to do it. Now, the too many meetings people is where, well, let's just say there's a reason that, in management teaching, they said, all right, let's do stand-up meetings because at least then by the time your feet get tired, your meeting should be over type thing. The whole point of it. Well, actually, let's go on to mistake number 4. Mistake number 4 fixes this problem, okay? Mistake number 4 is not enough communication. Now, communication doesn't have to happen in a meeting. Communication can happen by a video being sent. Communication can happen by an email being sent. Lack of communication breaks down teams, okay? Why? Well, let's think about this. If things are changing in an organization and you don't communicate about that change, do your team members get worried? Yes. Do they think of all the positive things that are coming, or do they start worrying about what could go wrong with this stuff? Communication. I remember that during even times of massive change, when the pandemic hit, we had to do more communication, a lot more communication, more regular communication. The more virtual your organization is, more communication is needed. So you might think you're doing enough until people are telling you there's too much communication, you're not doing enough. Okay, number 5 mistake that people make in team building is that they don't define the rules of the game. They don't have a set of documented core values or a culture statement. If you want to know what I'm talking about, jump on actioncoach.com, take a look at our culture document. You'll see what we do there is define the core values of the organization, define who we are and why we do what we do, so that people know this is what we stand for. These are the rules of the game type thing. Too often companies allow people to learn the rules by stumbling around. Oh, you're not supposed to do that? Oh, okay. If it's, Not having a company handbook, it just kills people. You've got to be able to communicate. These are the rules of the game here in our organization. People can't follow rules that they don't know. And they can't be excited by the core values if they're not documented. So make sure you definitely do that. Number 6 biggest mistake is no action plan. Lack of planning leads to lack of team. It just does. How does a great sporting team know what to do? Because the coach calls the play. They have a plan. They go out and execute the plan. Your team needs to have a plan to be able to execute. If you build a great plan, the team can execute on it. It's easier to be a team when there is a plan and we all know who's doing what by when we know what direction we're going in, we have the goals, when we're measured so we know what performance there is, when we do the communication, when we have enough meetings to do the communication, when we know what the rules of the game are and we have a plan, then all of a sudden, we're doing great at team building. We're on track anyway. Okay, number 7, no training or development. Number 7 being no training or development is because if you don't grow your people, they can't grow your business. If you want the business to get better, the people have to get better. If you build them, they build it. As you train your people, you develop your people, they get better at their job, therefore they're more productive, therefore the company is more profitable. Okay, so make sure that you build a training program for your people. Or come to us at Action Coach and have us do it for you. What are we up to? Number 8. Mistake number 8. They allow excuses in their culture. Okay, or you as a manager use excuses and therefore your team believes excuses are okay. And even if the excuse is, the supplier didn't get it to us on time, that's still an excuse. That culture of excuses kills team. When team realize they can get away with stuff by the dog ate my homework, they're going to have the dog eating their homework. Oh, I ran. See, the business version of dog ate my homework, by the way, is I ran out of time. Didn't have enough time. Well, manage your time better. We got to make sure that we don't allow excuses. Number 9 biggest mistake, abdication, not delegation. For there to be delegation in an organization, not abdication. What do I mean by abdication? You give someone the job, you've got to do 3 things. You got to train them, you've got to manage them, and you got to have a system for it. And by manage, I mean measure, okay? So if you train them how to do it, you have a system for them to do it, and you measure the result, you're actually delegating something to someone. Just saying, hey, this is your job, go do it. They don't see. I find when there's big mistakes in companies and you ask the team member what happened right there, it's usually a lack of training or a lack of systems that led to the mistake. It's not that people want to do a bad job, okay? It's that lack of that leads it there. So yeah, make sure that we are training our people well, we're measuring, and we have a system for them. Systems make it much easier to have a great team. They really do. Number 10. Remember we said number 8 was allowing excuses culture? Well, number 10 is allowing a blame culture, especially the building of silos in an organization where, instead of, you go over and we didn't hit sales budget and sales says, oh, it was operations fault. They didn't deliver. That's why we didn't hit budget. Or operations points the finger. Every time you point a finger, you're pointing 1 out and 3 back type thing. So remember that part of it. But the thing about blame is it actually destroys the culture of an organization. It gets people pitted against each other and therefore destroys an organization and destroys the team and therefore destroys the organization. It's hard to be a great team if one person's pointing the finger at the other or if one group is pointing a finger at the other. Got to work together on that sort of stuff. Number 11, not demanding 100% involvement and inclusion. When we look at an organization and we allow people to just sit on the sidelines and not have an opinion, not voice what's going on, not think about, not talk about. It's why here at Action Coach, we have this thing called a whiffle. If you don't know what that is, chat with your local Action Coach. They'll walk you through how to do it in your organization. But we must demand our people get involved. We must demand they're included. We must demand that they fill in surveys, that they have a say, that they do that. Diversity and inclusion in an organization is of massive importance. And to not demand of our people that they are included in it, and not demand that they're in a meeting and they have a say and they communicate and they add their thing to it. If you're the leader of a group and you're in a meeting, you don't just ask for comments, you go around every single person. What's your thought on this? You must go around every person. Demand everyone has a say. Okay, that's a big part of it. Number 12, no time management. Without time management, without daily planning, daily goals, without time management, without agreed timelines to things getting done, there cannot be a great solid team. It's very hard for a team to work together when one person gets it done by Thursday and everyone else waits till next week to get it done, sort of thing. There has to be cohesion in time and timing so that we have everything working together. Very important part of building a great team. Number 13 biggest mistake is allowing people to build a culture of denial. Okay, not facing up to reality, not being, look, and you've probably seen this in a company at some stage where there's a team member who thinks they're the best thing since sliced bread. They think they're amazing. And maybe they were at some stage, but now all they seem to do is moan and gripe, and they go into a meeting and say nothing, and then they'll leave the meeting and start sabotaging everything. Yeah, that's a dumb idea. Remember, we tried that 20 years ago. It never worked then. It's not going to work now. You know, and the boss of the company doesn't confront them. And eventually they do fire them, and you turn to the boss and go, yeah, glad you did that. Should have fired him years ago. What do you mean should have fired him years ago? Well, he's always done this and this and this. Well, why didn't you tell me? Oh, we thought you knew. And at some stage you did know. Hiding from doing the whole better the devil you know and not confronting an issue is a big way to kill team. When a great team member sees someone doing bad work and not being held to account, not being made to do great work, the great team member feels bad about working there. They're like, why should I give my all when they don't do anything and they get paid too? You know, so we've got to make sure we deal with the issues that are in the organization. We confront those things. Otherwise, it's hard for the team to come together. Number 14, biggest mistake, no job description. I'll give you an example. I did an activity with a group of business people one time. The CEO of the company said, Brad, no one seems to do their job properly. I said, great, let's bring them all in, okay? And I asked them all, I said, listen, I want you to sit down. I want you to write a list of the 10 most important aspects of your job. What are the 10 things that are the most important part of your job? I had the CEO go and write the same list, right? Write 10 things of each of the people that his direct reports. Well, we came and we sat back together. The team member had their list of 10. The CEO had their list of 10 saying, okay, I think your job is these 10 things. This is what the CEO said. I think your job is these 10 things. The employee said, I think my job is these 10 things. Guess what happened? Do you think they matched? No, of course they didn't match. The CEO thought these are the 10 things. This person thought these are the 10 things. Now, about 3 out of 10 matched on average when we did it in that particular company. But the fact that you have a job description, see, clarity leads to power. Giving someone a very clear description, this is your job, this is what you need to do on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, allows a team to perform. Because if the individuals can perform, then the team can perform. Number 15, not changing, okay? The old, if it ain't broke, oh man, break things, change. Innovation happens by changing, by doing things differently. Disruption doesn't happen by doing the same old stuff. You get disrupted when you do the same old stuff. You've got to change. Now, that doesn't mean you change every day. I was reading a great book on trust in leadership, and it talked about too much change reduces trust. But you've got to make the changes when changes are needed. You can't just be the old, I like it the old way, let's keep doing it the old way. You got to keep up with technology. You got to keep up with things. If you want the team to perform, you have to innovate. You have to do new things, okay? Number 16, not taking the time to build relationships, not taking the time to actually break bread with people, to have a meal, to sit down. And, you know, it was just the holiday break and sitting with the team, having a meal and breaking bread. Relationships are built over those things. Relationships are built that way. So we've got to make sure in our team that there is time for relationship building. There is time for learning about each other and what each other does and how you do it type thing. Really important aspect. Number 17. Probably my favorite mistake because it's quite easy to fix. If I'll tell you the mistake, then I'll tell you how to fix it. Number 17 mistake is poor or no management, okay? Management, by the way, is about two things, competency and productivity. If you jump on my YouTube or on the Action Coach YouTube, or if you're watching this on YouTube, look up Brad Sugar's Management versus Leadership, okay? Watch that video. It takes you through my step-by-step process of how we actually build great managers. Now, a lot of people say we don't want to be managers or micromanagers. You know, there's times when you need to be a micromanager. When someone's brand new and they don't know what they're doing, sometimes you need to micromanage those people. You got to coach them, mentor them, build competency and build productivity. Yes, eventually you want to have low levels of management because you've built a competent, productive person. That's what a manager does. They build competent, productive people. Number 18, not supporting risk-taking. Hey, if we're going to grow and we're going to do new things, if we're going to be learning new stuff, we got to support that person's going to make mistakes. If we're trying something new, I know I had a golf lesson the other day and they're trying to, and it's like, I play worse when I'm adapting to this new thing because I haven't done it before. If I haven't done it before, it's going to take me time and energy and effort to learn it. So make sure you support them in their risk-taking when they're trying something new. Now, making the same mistake over and over again, that's just dumb, okay? It's first time it's a mistake. Second time it might be a mistake. Third time, it's definitely a choice by that point in time. Number 19, not celebrating, okay? I know as a business coach, and I know if you haven't got an action coach, by the way, make sure you jump on the website, use the Find a Coach button to find a coach, or fill in the questionnaire and get a coaching session, or just book a call with one of the coaches there. But celebration is a massive part of team. You have to celebrate the wins. When you score a goal, you need to celebrate that stuff together. And you might, one of the problems, I guess, is that the boss or the owner sometimes feels like, oh, I don't need to celebrate. You know, I'll celebrate with my family tonight that we achieved that thing. You'll go and celebrate with your other team, but this team did all the work. Make sure you celebrate with them when you achieve great things. And finally, number 20, weak leadership is a big team building mistake. In fact, I've got a whole other video on 20 top leadership mistakes if you ever want to take a look at that one. But leadership, as management is about competency and productivity, leadership is also about two things. It's about passion and focus. Having passion in your people and having them focused. Of course, having focus goes back to mistake number one, a lack of goals. If you want them to have focus, then they've got to have goals. There's got to be measure. All of these other things that we've talked about in team building that lead to great levels of focus, okay? A leader brings focus to their people. But also a leader brings passion out of their people, okay? By goals, a vision, defining where we're going. That passion comes from the leader. That passion is the leader pulling that out of the people, because you don't hire people that don't love what you're doing. You hire people who love what you're doing and want to be passionate about it all. Anyway, take your passion, grow your business, check in with an action coach if you haven't already. Make sure you're learning, make sure you're growing, keep that business moving, and look forward to seeing you again on the next video.